Okay, for the Growing Forward session tonight, one of the things that I'm going to cover, one of the things I get asked a lot of questions about, and I'm actually having to re-record this. So those of you that took part in the one the other night, well, I had video issues. So one of the questions I get is just the Twitter followers, and on social media we all kinds of tools we can use, but how do you grow your Twitter following? Is one of the ways that we might look at growing influence to get to our blog. So let me just be clear, first of all, the reason we want to grow a Twitter following or a Facebook following or anything else is not for sheer numbers, but we want to grab influence from the place. It's kind of like the marketplace where everybody's hanging out. I want to try to capture their attention to try to get them to come into my store or my house, or in this case, a website. So whether you're doing a Shopify for e-commerce or you're doing a blogging or whatever you're doing, you need to attract people. So what I'm looking at here is Twitter. And so this is my page on Twitter. So if you just hit my Twitter link, this is probably where you go to. So you've got on here, I'm following 43,000 people, 49,000 followers. Of course, rounded off, but how do we get there? How do we get a lot of followers on Twitter? And I'm going to share with you a strategy that was shared with me as an experiment to try to drive traffic to my website. It worked, and it was also an experiment that how do you drive up your Twitter followers? It worked. It's a strategy that was given to me by Mike Nichols and Jonathan Milligan, as we were talking one day, and they kind of shared with me. So there's very much their stuff. And by the way, there's many other people that use a similar strategy. As a matter of fact, when you see a huge following on Twitter, you are usually seeing, or Facebook or anything else, you're usually seeing some kind of strategy. Unless your name is Lady Gaga or somebody like that. But usually and even them, there's probably a strategy. So it's a strategy. Now, before you get too caught up in this, I'll just give you a caution. This is not about making money. This is about marketing that might turn into money. So for those people who only have a few minutes a day, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes a day to work on their business, I'm showing you a cool tool, but it doesn't mean it's going to be a fit for you ever or right now, but it may be. Because it actually might save you some time. So let me show you how we get there. We start with a Twitter page, and so if I just go home, the regular Twitter page looks like this, and my Twitter feed, stuff like this. But many of you are on Twitter. Twitter's a little different than Facebook in a lot of different ways. So let me go over and show you the strategy. And I'm going to put this up on this. There's a link to this in the session. So this is actually a text, and I'm just going to kind of go down and do things in the order that we see that we really do them, and just kind of keep this tight so I know what I'm talking about. So this was a Twitter right there. This was a virtual assistant social media strategy. I did this for a while, and then I hired somebody to do it for me, and it worked. I'm not doing this right now. Not because it doesn't work, but just because it was not what I want to spend my time on right now. And matter of fact, I'm even evaluating, does Twitter even something I want to mess with? So what we did is the accounts you need, and so you go to this website called Just Unfollow. Now, they've changed the name to Crowdfire. That doesn't really matter, but basically this is what you're going to get. And by the way, this is not the only site that does this, but we just look at the strategy. All right, so now that's what we do. We go to that. So here's your daily action, and there's about maximum of 30 minutes. And by the way, when I am looking at virtual assistants, I usually give them some kind of, hey, here's how much time I want you to spend on this. So follow and unfollow Twitter users using Just Unfollow. So log in, choose my account, and the reason I say choose my account is you can have multiple accounts up here in the top left-hand corner. You can have multiple accounts, and at the time I did. Click on non-followers. Now I'm not going to go through this tool perfectly, but we are going to click on a couple of things. First, This little block here that says F, that means people I followed today, and U is people I have unfollowed today. So they're both at 0. And non-followers is 2,684. If you look over here, I'm following 2,684 that are not following me back. Okay, so this it explains to you what it's doing. So now I can tweet that message out if I care to. So the strategy is to get here and look at all the people who are not following me back. Now, first of all, this is a day-to-day strategy. So I'm logging in today as if I did this all yesterday and the day before and the day before that and so on and so forth. So at this moment, there's 2,684 people that are not following me. All right, so what I want to do is I want to not follow them generally. That sounds childish and everything like this. They're not going to play with me, so they're not talking to me, so I'm not talking to them. But, you know, it's a strategy, and I'll tell you a little bit about why in a minute. So using the middle form, click the minus sign. So the middle form, and click the minus sign until you either your non-followers number is down 1,200 or you have unfollowed 990 people. Now, the reason 990 is at the time that's the maximum Twitter would let you unfollow, and that's the maximum this tool would allow you to. So you couldn't, and Twitter, you can get in trouble with Twitter if you get too crazy. So and so what's going to happen is I'm going to just come over here and just hit minus sign. I just unfollowed them. Jess, I just unfollowed her. Carrie, I just unfollowed. Now I'm doing this one at a time. You're seeing my unfollow go to 5. Now what I want to do is I want to do this not super fast because Twitter starts to get mad at you if you do it super fast. But I want to do it, you know, something reasonably fast. Now I'm not going to obviously go through this 999, but what I'm looking for at this point is to get it to where this number of unfollowers is about 1,200. And I want to keep it about 1,200, and you'll see why in just a minute. But or I want to get it to 900 that I unfollow. So and you could do 100. By the way, this tool that I'm using, if I am using this tool as a free version, I'm in the free version right now, it will only let me do so many. Let's just see how many it will let me do. It may only let me go up to 20 or something like that. And it's going to stop when it doesn't. If you pay for the paid version, you get to do more damage. And obviously, you know, if I'm just starting out and I got a couple of hundred followers, then this version is perfect. You know, if you get into thousands and thousands of followers, you kind of want the paid version. Now, let's just so you know right now, you're saying, well, wait a minute, Dale, what if I want to not unfollow a person because I'm following them because they're influential in my field or whatever? So let's say a grateful girl here out of the box, this Paula, let's say she is one of those people I follow because she's a thought leader. For instance, I can whitelist her so she doesn't show up here. And anyway, so I can do this. It doesn't look like it's going to stop me anytime real soon. It may stop me at 100. Just let's see if I can't drive it to that just for the sake of going through the process. And I mean, so this is pretty fast, but you can also see that if you did this every day, if you're like me and your ADD kicks in really, really fast, then this could get to you and you're going to want to hire somebody to do it. Even your son or daughter is awesome. All right, so I'm at 97, 98, 99, 100. Yep. Okay, so I've hit my limit. So, and that's what they want you to do. They want you to upgrade. So I can unfollow 100. All right, so that's perfect. I've just done that roll. I have still over 1,200 left, and I've unfollowed the maximum I can. So I just did that part, did the unfollow. Now on the left menu, click on copy followers. Now all these other things mean things, but I'm not going to worry about them right now. So if I click on copy followers, now here's an awesome strategy. What we're doing now is looking for people. Let's see if I've got some people here. Oh, that's previously copied. Okay, let's grab my friend Jonathan Milligan, for instance. And Jonathan has a large Twitter following. I don't know how big, it may show me, but no, it doesn't. So Jonathan's Twitter. And here's why I'm playing this game. Let's say people who follow Jonathan and care about what Jonathan cares about are also people that might be interested in what I'm doing. So who do you use? Who do you want to copy? Maybe a competitor, if they're a competitor. Maybe somebody who's in a similar business that might be interested. For instance, many of you may probably know who Dave Ramsey is, and Dave Ramsey is a financial guy. But I might come to the conclusion, well, if they're interested in finance, they might be interested in starting a company. So following a Dave Ramsey follower could be awesome, because that I want to be involved in that group. Now, why do I want to follow, in this case, Jonathan Milligan's followers? Because some of them are going to follow me back, and now they're part of my following. So I follow them in the hope that they will return the favor, if you will. So I mean, it's kind of a twisted thing, but it's kind of like going over and inviting people over, so they'll invite you over, that kind of thing. So I'm gonna do the same thing here, and just hit the plus sign. Now you'll notice my follow column goes up, and you'll also notice I'm not using any logic. I'm not thinking about it. I'm just randomly doing this. Which means if there's crazy people who are following Jonathan, well, I'm following them. So it has that downside. We used to try to go through this and be a little more careful, who we followed, and just looking at but okay, so I've hit the limit there, and it looks like the limit's 24, 25. Okay, that's perfect. So now, I followed 25 new people today, and I have unfollowed 100. Perfect. And that's actually the free tool. That's probably a good balance, especially when you're just getting started with this. So now what I'm doing, click on, let's see, I don't care. I've kind of already done that. The previously followed here, what I'm saying is previously copied. These are people that that doesn't look like what it says it is. But okay, so I've used Dave Ramsey's before, so I'm not sure what some of these are, but maybe that's when I had these people doing it for me. These were people I previously used to copy their followers, is what that means. All right, so now I've done that. Now click on the plus signs. We've done all that. Record the data. Now, we used to keep a spreadsheet of this. Now, I will just say on the spreadsheet thing that, and this is Mike Nichols, my friend, and he's very analytical, and he had how many people he followed that day, how many people he unfollowed that day, and then what's the difference in his follower count. And he was very analytical, which kind of sounds a little over the top, except he had tracked this for some time, and he knew that 30% of the people you follow will follow you back. And by the way, I tracked it too. 30%. Pretty accurate. It's plus or minus some, but about 30% of the people who follow you will follow you back. So he was tracking it just to see if it worked, and gee, that was awesome to see that. Sometimes these guys are into analytics. I'm not as big into analytics, but it was interesting. All right, so all this is other junk about social media management. I don't really care about that. This is just about responding to people, getting in there, talking to people that do follow you. Now, what happens is tomorrow is going back to my Twitter page. Is tomorrow, because I followed some people and I've unfollowed some people. I've followed and unfollowed, so I messed with that number right there. I unfollowed 100, followed 25. That's awesome. My followers will go up since I followed 25. Let's just say 30%. So what am I going to get? 6 or 7, maybe, right? I'm sorry, 25. Yeah. So I'll get 6 or 7 new followers from this. Now, by the way, if you're using the unpaid version and you only have 25 to choose from, you can be more picky. I can look through there and say, I don't want to follow that person, because 25 clicks is easy. When you're doing it down here, when you go back up and seeing click follow until you hit 990. And a friend of mine was doing 1,000, but you don't really. If you're doing 900 to 1,000, you don't have time. So, but if you're using the free version, which by the way, if you had, that would be awesome. Just be a little more picky who you follow, and that probably has some great benefits. So, this strategy works really, really well to grow your followers. Let me give you one thing, that might be something to think about. And these rules change. I'm going to go back to my main page. Well, it doesn't show me anything different, but I'm going to go back to my main page here. Twitter changes the rules. But we have kind of found that if you have less than 2,000 followers, okay, so let's say I got 800 followers, pick a number, it doesn't matter, then you want to be careful with a strategy. So and we tested this before, and Twitter would lock you out if you got what they called too aggressive. They will also lock you out if the people you're following is way out of balance with this. Like if you're following 1,000 people and you only have 100 followers, they may stop you and say you're an aggressive follower. I think it's the term they used. Now, if you have 20 million followers and you only follow 3 people, that's fine. A lot of celebrities, that's where they are. But while your numbers here are below 2,000 followers, I would just be careful. As a matter of fact, I would not use the paid version. I would just use the unpaid. Just take it easy, grow it a little bit at a time, and then once things get in control and you're over 2,000 and things start growing, and this does have to have a little bit of an exponential growth curve, especially at that stage. So that's just the caution. Don't get too crazy. If you do, you'll come to Twitter and they'll say you've been locked out, and you'll have to, I forget how you do it, but you go to the site and you get locked back in. And of course, if you do that too many times, they'll just lock you out. Those rules change. That's what we found at the time, and that seemed to work. So this strategy, I will again say, you will find Kim Garst. If you're familiar with Kim Garst, she has a Twitter strategy. It looks a lot like this, uses a different tool, very similar. You'll find a lot of people that teach something similar to this, and some people charge for it, some people don't. So awesome. Growing your Twitter following is something that will help you, because these people are likely, when they follow you, they're likely to come over here and click on your page. Let's see if I can get there. No, that's not where I want to be. I want to be back over here. They're likely to come over here and click on my link. And so you want to make sure, by the way, before you do this, that you set up things so the link to your homepage or whatever else you want to drive them to is right there. Because otherwise, why do it? And we do. We can track through analytics that when we play this Twitter game and when I get on there and talk to people and engage with people, we get significant traffic from Twitter. So if you got any questions from this, we will try to post enough of this stuff over in the PDF there and all. You should see it below the Growing Forward session. If you got any questions, though, you kind of want to look at this, or if you even got an update, hey, this is what's working for me now. Love to hear about it. So thanks for paying attention, watching. Next Growing Forward sessions coming up. By the way, if there's something in particular you want us to hit and look at, I like the Growing Forward sessions to be very specific, very hands-on. So if there's something you want to see done hands-on, let me know what it is.